Americans spend somewhere between $400 and $700 a year on quarterly pest control for their yards, and then another 30 to 50 every few weeks on cans of DEET spray, citronella candles, and yard fogger refills. So why does your grandmother's garden, the one with the lavender border and the marigolds along the fence, never seem to have a mosquito problem? It is not luck. Lavender oil has tested at over 90% mosquito repellency in controlled studies, and marigolds contain natural compounds that the pesticide industry has spent decades trying to copy. Your grandmother was not just decorating. She was building a perimeter. If you had asked anyone in your grandmother's generation about bug spray for the garden, they would have looked at you like you'd lost your mind. Specific plants, placed in specific spots, doing the work that a can of chemicals does for about 6 hours before you need to spray again. And most of those plants cost less than a single bottle of off at the hardware store. Today you are getting 11 of them, covering mosquitoes, ticks, wasps, gnats, and flies. Every single one grows in common U.S. hardiness zones, and several of them do double duty as herbs you can cook with tonight. Number 1. Lavender. Lavender is the anchor of this entire list. It grows in zones 5 through 9, handles full sun and poor rocky soil, and once established it barely needs watering. A single 4-inch pot costs about $4 to $6 at a nursery, and one plant fills a 2-foot spread within its first season. The flowers produce linalool and linylyl acetate, two compounds that mosquitoes, moths, fleas, and flies genuinely cannot stand. Think of it like your garden's version of a security system, except it runs on sunshine and smells incredible to you while driving pests away. According to the University of Georgia Extension, lavender is one of the most effective insect-repelling plants you can grow, and the dried flower heads work just as well. Clip a few stalks in midsummer, bundle them, and hang them near your porch door or tuck them into a dresser drawer. You get free pest control and a natural sachet from the same plant. Lavender is also a perennial. Buy it once, and it comes back every spring for years without a single trip to the garden center. But the next plant on this list handles a pest that lavender cannot touch. Number 2. Rosemary. Rosemary repels mosquitoes, carrot flies, cabbage moths, and according to research cited by the Oak Spring Garden Foundation, its essential oils have shown measurable effects on tick reproduction and hatchability. That makes rosemary one of the few plants on this list that pulls double duty against both flying and crawling pests. It grows in zones 7 through 10 outdoors, but in colder zones you can keep it in a pot and bring it inside when frost hits. A nursery pot runs about $4 to $7. The budget angle is outstanding. Rosemary is a cooking herb. You are growing pest control and seasoning your chicken at the same time. Plant it near your outdoor seating area, your back door, or alongside a vegetable garden where cabbage moths cause trouble. When you brush against the foliage or clip a sprig for dinner, the oils release into the air and the pest-repelling effect intensifies. That is the key detail about most plants on this list. The oils need to be disturbed to work at full strength. Crushing a leaf between your fingers is like turning up the volume on a speaker that was already playing. Number 3. Citronella grass. Citronella grass is the plant that the entire citronella candle industry is named after, and it works significantly better than the candles made from it. The candles contain a diluted synthetic version of the oil. The live plant produces the real thing constantly, as long as it is growing. It thrives in zones 9 through 11 outdoors but grows easily as an annual or container plant in colder climates. A starter pot costs about $5 to $8. Plant citronella grass in large containers near doorways, patios, and outdoor dining areas. It grows 3 to 6 feet tall with a grassy clumping habit. The lemon-scented foliage releases citronellol and geraniol, two compounds that interfere with a mosquito's ability to locate you by your carbon dioxide trail. Imagine putting a jammer next to a radar dish. The mosquito's navigation system gets scrambled. One large container of citronella grass beside your patio chair does more than 4 citronella candles burning at the same time, and it lasts the entire summer instead of melting down to a puddle of wax in 2 evenings. But the next plant does everything citronella does, with a bonus you can eat. Number 4. Lemongrass. Lemongrass is closely related to citronella grass and contains many of the same mosquito-repelling compounds, but it comes with a kitchen bonus. You can harvest the thick lower stalks and use them in Thai soups, curries, and stir-fries. It grows in zones 8 through 11 outdoors and performs well as a container annual in zones 4 through 7. A starter plant costs about $4 to $6. According to the Sunday Lawn Care Gardening Resource, lemongrass is effective against wasps, mosquitoes, and other common flying insects. Plant it in clusters of 3 near your outdoor cooking area, and you have pest protection plus fresh ingredients within arm's reach of the grill. The stalks grow 3 to 5 feet tall, forming a dense screen that also provides privacy from neighbors while keeping bugs at bay. And because lemongrass grows thick and upright, it doubles as a natural windscreen for patio candles that keeps flames from blowing out on breezy summer evenings. The same lavender and rosemary that repel mosquitoes work because their oils irritate insect sensory receptors. The next plant takes a completely different approach. It kills pests on contact. Number 5. Chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums are the heavyweights of natural pest control. The flowers contain pyrethrin, a compound so effective at killing and repelling insects that the commercial pesticide industry extracts it and sells it as pyrethroid sprays. You can buy the spray for $12 to $15 a can, or you can grow the plant that makes it for about $4 a pot. According to the University of Georgia Extension, chrysanthemums repel roaches, ants, Japanese beetles, ticks, lice, fleas, bedbugs, spider mites, and silverfish. That list covers practically every insect a homeowner worries about during summer. They grow in zones 5 through 9 and bloom in late summer and fall, which is exactly when tick and flea populations peak. Plant them along walkways near pet resting areas and around the foundation of your house. Think of chrysanthemums like the deadbolt on your front door. Lavender and rosemary are the porch light that discourages visitors. Chrysanthemums are the lock that stops the ones who try anyway. Number 6. Marigolds. Marigolds are the plant your grandmother got right, without knowing the science behind it. The roots and foliage produce alpha-terthionyl, a compound toxic to mosquito larvae, nematodes, and several species of whitefly. Garden researchers have documented this compound's effectiveness for decades, and the commercial pesticide industry has tried to synthesize it with mixed results. French marigolds and African marigolds both work, and both grow as annuals in every U.S. zone. A 6-pack of seedlings costs about $3 to $4 at any garden center, making them the cheapest pest-repelling plant on this entire list. Plant them as a border around vegetable beds to deter aphids and whiteflies, or tuck them into containers on your patio for mosquito suppression. The bright orange and yellow blooms attract beneficial pollinators during the day, while repelling the pests you actually want gone. And unlike chemical treatments, marigolds improve your soil as they grow. The root compounds suppress harmful nematodes in the ground, which means your tomatoes, peppers, and squash planted nearby benefit from cleaner soil. That is pest control above and below the surface from a $3 6-pack. Number 7. Basil. Basil is not just for pesto. The strong essential oils in basil foliage repel mosquitoes, flies, aphids, mites, and tomato hornworms, according to the University of Georgia Extension. Sweet basil, cinnamon basil, and lemon basil all work, and each variety costs about $3 to $5 for a starter pot. Basil grows as a warm season annual in every U.S. zone and thrives in containers on a sunny porch. The trick with basil is density. A single pot on your windowsill helps a little. 6 pots lining your back patio create a real barrier. And because basil is a cut-and-comb-again herb, harvesting leaves for dinner actually triggers the plant to grow bushier and produce more of the pest-repelling oils. You get better pest control by using the plant in your kitchen. That is the kind of payback no can of bug spray will ever offer. If you are finding this useful, consider subscribing. There is a lot more like this on the channel, and new budget gardening tips go up every week. But the next plant on this list beat DEET in laboratory testing, and it costs about $4. Number 8. Catnip. This one surprises people, but the research behind it is hard to argue with. Catnip contains nepentylactone, a compound that university researchers have found to be around 10 times more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DEET. It also repels cockroaches, flies, and deer ticks. Catnip grows in zones 3 through 9, costs about $4 to $6 per pot, and spreads aggressively through runners. If you have cats, plant catnip in a wire cage or raised container to keep them from rolling the plant flat. If you do not have cats, plant it freely along fence lines and garden borders. It grows 1 to 3 feet tall with small white flowers that pollinators appreciate. The spreading habit that some gardeners consider a nuisance is actually a benefit here. More catnip coverage means more pest repellency across a wider area, and unlike chemical perimeter sprays that wash away in the first rain, catnip grows back thicker after every storm. Number 9. Peppermint. Peppermint's menthol content repels wasps, ants, mosquitoes, spiders, and mice. According to the Florida Pest Control Resource, peppermint's strong scent works particularly well against wasps, which makes it valuable around outdoor eating areas where sugary drinks and food scraps attract yellow jackets during summer cookouts. Peppermint grows in zones 3 through 11 and costs about $3 to $5 per pot. One critical warning though, plant peppermint in containers, not directly in the ground. It spreads through underground runners so aggressively that it will take over an entire garden bed within a single season. Think of peppermint like water. Contained in a pot, it is useful and manageable. Planted loose in the soil, it floods everything. Use large pots or fabric grow bags placed at entry points, near garbage cans, and beside outdoor seating. You can also harvest the leaves for tea, which means your wasp-repelling plant doubles as a summer drink ingredient. Number 10. Thyme. Thyme, especially lemon thyme, produces essential oils that repel mosquitoes, cockroaches, and termites. It grows in zones 5 through 9, costs about $3 to $5 per pot, and stays low to the ground in a dense, spreading mat. That low growth habit makes it perfect for planting between stepping stones, along pathways, and around patio edges where you walk frequently. Every time you step on thyme growing between pavers, you crush the tiny leaves and release the pest-repelling oils into the air around your feet and ankles. That is exactly where mosquitoes and ticks target you. Planting thyme along a garden path is like laying a minefield that activates under your shoes and protects your legs while you walk. And because creeping thyme stays under 3 inches tall, it never needs mowing, tolerates foot traffic, and flowers with tiny purple blooms that pollinators love in early summer. Number 11. Petunias. Petunias are sometimes called nature's sticky traps. The stems and leaves produce a sticky substance that physically traps small insects like aphids, squash bugs, and tomato hornworms. They also repel certain beetles and leafhoppers through chemical compounds in their foliage. A 6-pack of petunia seedlings runs about $3 to $4 and grows as an annual in every U.S. zone. Hang petunias in baskets near doorways and windows, plant them in containers on your deck railing, or use them as a border around vegetable beds. They bloom continuously from late spring through fall, with almost no care beyond occasional watering. The trailing varieties cascade over the edges of hanging baskets and window boxes, creating a curtain of pest protection right where bugs try to enter your home. And because they bloom in nearly every color, you get to pick the look you want while the plant handles the pest control in the background. Now, before you head to the garden center, there are a few placement tips that turn individual pest-repelling plants into an actual system. First, plant in layers. The same way your house has a fence, then a yard, then walls, then doors, your pest-repelling garden needs concentric rings of protection. Chrysanthemums and marigolds go at the outer boundary, along fence lines and property edges. Lavender and rosemary go in the middle ring, closer to walkways and garden beds. Basil, peppermint, and citronella go right next to your patio, seating areas, and doorways. 3 rings, each one stronger than the last. Each one cheaper than a single season of pest control service. Second, group plants near the places where you actually sit, eat, and spend time. A lavender border along the back fence smells wonderful, but it does not help you at the patio table 30 feet away. Cluster 3 or 4 different pest-repelling plants within arm's reach of where you sit, and you create a concentrated zone of overlapping protection. This is the difference between decoration and defense. Third, crush leaves when you walk through. These plants release their strongest pest-repelling open compounds when the foliage is disturbed. Brush your hand across the rosemary. Step on the thyme between your pavers. Snap a basil leaf and rub it between your palms. These small actions activate the natural oils and turn passive plants into active pest barriers. Fourth, replant annuals strategically. Marigolds, basil, citronella grass, and petunias are annuals in cold climates. Instead of buying new ones every May, save seeds from this year's marigolds and basil. Marigold seeds dry on the spent flower heads. Basil seeds form after the flowers go to seed in late summer. Collect them, store them in a paper envelope in a cool drawer, and plant them yourself next spring. That $3 investment becomes free pest control every year after the first season. The total cost to plant 5 or 6 of the perennials on this list, plus a few annuals for the patio, comes out to roughly $40 to $60. That is less than 2 months of chemical pest control service. And unlike the spray truck that comes every quarter, these plants work every single day, all season long, year after year. The perennials come back on their own each spring. The annuals reseed if you let them. Your pest control budget drops to nearly zero after the first summer. Your grandmother did not have a pest-free garden by accident. She had lavender, marigolds, rosemary, and thyme because her mother told her to plant them, and her mother learned it from hers. The chemical pest control industry convinced an entire generation that you needed their products to enjoy your own backyard. You do not. You need a trip to the nursery, an afternoon with a trowel, and 11 plants that have been doing this job for centuries. If you want more ways to save money in the garden, there are plenty more on the channel.